Always a pleasure to have my next guest on the show. It's Bellator light heavyweight Grant the Truth Neal, who will be back in action on February the 4th at Bellator 290 when he meets Karl Albrektsson. Grant, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Ryan?
I'm doing fantastic. Great having you back on the show. I just saw you down at the Mohegan Sun. Obviously, you were there cornering one of your teammates, Anthony Adams. That was a really tough fight with Dalton Rosta. What's the takeaway?
I just really think that it shows Anthony, he was winning in certain spots in that fight, was in it. He deserves to be there, and he is one of the best. And now you just learn from it, right? It's that's the biggest thing. We don't believe in winning and losing. We believe in winning and learning.
Absolutely. And Dalton actually, he kind of reminds me a little bit of you just in stature. He's obviously a weight class below you, but you guys, are both very compact. You carry a lot of muscle. Is it challenging for someone like Anthony, who's a little bit taller and longer, for that kind of a fight stylistically?
I think stylistically, anybody fighting someone of our like stature, I think it's kind of difficult, just because you're not playing your game. Anthony, on the other hand, is also very like savvy and very tricky, really good with footwork, explosive in areas. So he was giving Dalton some trouble in the first and second round, and then the third round we just lost a little steam. And so that's just honestly that's kind of an easy fix for Anthony. You just keep that pressure on and keep that footwork, and I think that's a different outcome in the fight.
Well, he's got a bright future regardless. And obviously, that fight was at the Mohegan Sun. You're going to be fighting in Inglewood, California. Are you excited to be out on the West Coast, or do you like going to Connecticut and fighting at Mohegan?
Well, Connecticut has a special place in my heart because I spent all of COVID there. I was also the most active light heavyweight at the Mohegan Sun during COVID. So, yeah, it holds a special place, but it is nice to fight on the West Coast because that's where I'm from. I'm a West Coast kid. So it's really going to be an awesome uh, place to fight. And I'll have like a ton of family, a ton of friends that'll be able to come to the fight. So it's going to be like a homecoming.
Well, I can't wait for this fight again, February the 4th. We're going to dive into all of that stuff here shortly. But you mentioned the West Coast, so you got me thinking. I wanted to talk a little football with you, and I know you're a big football guy. Your boy Christian McCaffrey's on the West Coast in San Francisco now. I'm a Patriots fan. We stink. They're not going anywhere, even if they make the playoffs. They're not going to win a game, and the Bucks aren't looking so good. So I'm feeling like San Francisco is a team that maybe if they get past Philly, they could win the whole thing. Who do you feel like has the best bet of winning the Super Bowl this year?
Well, so I have a really good friend that I went to high school with that plays on Philly, and my best friend actually plays on San Francisco. So I like them both. So it'd be pretty awesome to see them play it out, see how it goes. But yeah, it's interesting. The Broncos aren't doing too good, so it's really now it's just about I'm rooting for individual guys, and I want them to have good seasons and get what they have earned.
Who's your friend on the Eagles?
He's a tight end. His name is Jack Stoll.
Okay, all right. I haven't heard of him. Does he play much?
Yeah, he's like more of like he's in a lot of the 2 and 3 set tight end formations. He had a pretty big game 2 games ago. But yeah, I mean, between him and Goddard, they're the main two tight ends. So
Okay. And with Christian, being such a close friend of yours, getting out of Carolina, being in San Francisco, I mean, how happy is he to be there for that organization?
I know he loves it's like it's a homecoming for him too. All right, so like he played his college career there, had some. I mean, he set Barry Sanders' record playing for Stanford. So like he beat it. So like it's really an awesome atmosphere to go back to and to be a part of that and just to really be in that San Francisco Bay Area. So it's really a cool thing.
Now, I don't want to make you pick, San Francisco or Philadelphia. You have your guys that you're cheering for, but who do you see coming out of the AFC?
Uh AFC, I hate to say it, but the Chiefs are just they're looking. Patrick Mahomes is unbelievable. He he's playing lights out, making plays that no one else can make. It's a really awesome thing to see.
Have you been following much college football?
I see. I haven't been following a ton of college football this year. This is like the first year in a long time I have. I haven't been, but I have been able to catch a few of the bowl games, which has been awesome.
All right, we got the final four tomorrow: Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, TCU. Who do you like out of those four?
Ooh, so I like Michigan over TCU, um, and I got to go with Ohio State over Georgia
Okay.
because the if you've watched any of the bowl games, the SEC hasn't been doing too good in these bowl games. So
You're picking an upset. I like it. We'll see. We'll see what happens. It all goes down tomorrow night. Let's dive into your career here. Now, your most recent fight, you got a UD win at Bellator 278. That was over Christian Rodriguez. Prior to that, you had a split loss to Alex Polizzi, and I hadn't spoken to you since before that fight with Alex. So I just kind of want to start there, Grant. And your takeaways from that fight are: did you feel like you did enough to get the win? Let's just start with that question.
yeah, I did feel I did enough to get the win, and big MMA proponents also felt the same. But ultimately, like you don't know. We've seen it time and time again. You don't know what's going through these judges' minds, and sometimes they do things that don't make any kind of sense. But that's why it's really important to finish the fight within the bells and to be just very dominant throughout the fight. So that was a really big takeaway from there. And regardless of how I feel about it, it's still an L on the record. So that still is puts a huge chip on my shoulder because I felt like something was taken from me. And yeah, now I have this chip on my shoulder, and it hasn't gone away. It's going to be with me for the rest of my career.
Assuming you get this win over Karl, are you hoping to rematch Alex, or would you prefer to, get someone, in the top, 4 or 5 and really climb those ranks towards a title shot?
I really want to go towards a title shot. And now, if Alex Polizzi is one of the opponents that I'll face that will put me on trajectory for that title, I'd say Albrektsson, 2 more fights, I'm fighting for a title. So if that happens to be Alex Polizzi, depending on what he does in his next fight or fights or what happens, you never know how it plays out. But if that is the fight, then I definitely want to. But within the next 2 or 3 fights, I see myself fighting for a world title.
The guys at the top of the division, obviously Nemkov is the champion, Corey Anderson, Phil Davis, Yoel Romero, a bunch of household names. Forget about the belt, but just those 4 guys right there. Who do you feel like is the best of the bunch? Like, who do you feel like would be your toughest test out of the top of the division?
I think all of them bring a unique challenge in their own right. I grew up watching these guys,
Yeah.
so I know a lot about each way they all fight. The benefit that I have over them is they didn't grow up watching me, and so I'm young and hungry. I'm ready to go and take the world by storm. I have a tremendous amount of respect for all the things that they've done and being pioneers in the sport. And man, it would just be an honor to share the cage with some of the greats that I looked up to and still look up to, and to fight against them. Like, I love that. And I love the competition and I love what I do. So being able to fight those type guys is what I do it for. I didn't get in this sport to not fight guys like that. So I am really excited on the next steps. And ultimately, I'm really excited about this next fight because Karl Albrektsson is one of those type guys. He's a journeyman. He's fought the best of the best. And he's really shown that he has what it takes to be in those type fights. And so it's a really awesome opportunity to uh, kind of show the world what I'm made of.
You're number 6. He's ranked number 9. Are you upset that you're fighting down though? Would you have preferred obviously to be fighting up?
No, I'm not upset at all because I think they matched it based on stylistically. Like, granted, yeah, he did lose a fight, but from the way that that fight was going, he was definitely doing what he needed to do, and things happen. And so I think Carl Albrektsson, as far as the guys that are behind, I think he would be the toughest guy of the bunch. And I'm sure that he could probably beat some of the guys that are ahead as well. So I think that Carl Albrektsson is he may be number 9, but I think that he could easily be higher in the rankings. He's one of the best in the division, one of the best in the world. So, and he's shown that in many of his fights.
Tell me how camp has been going thus far. Who do you have around you? Anyone new for this camp?
Oh man, camp has been going really awesome. I've had a lot of really awesome coaches and teammates around me. Um, in the gym, we have Archie Colgan. I know he's not in my weight class, but it's just mentally him and I are on the same wavelength. We vibe really well with each other, and he's also climbing the ranks in Bellator as well. So it's awesome having him around. Obviously, feet solo, Anthony Adams, and then I also have Muhammad Usman, who just recently won the Ultimate Fighter. So he's like a really awesome training partner for me. And then Chris Camozzi and Brian Camozzi. So some veterans in the room, kickboxers. And then I also have um, the Patrick Barry. So he's awesome because he really brings an aspect to my game and allows me to really see what I'm capable of on the feet. He has a similar body style and body type as I did, and he fought at heavyweight. And so it's really awesome to have someone with his knowledge and experience to kind of show me what I'm really capable of on the feet, and to really like trust the hands, and to um, fashion my style to where it's really gonna not be laboring, but it's really gonna work for me. So that's been awesome having him in the room. And then Alonzo Minifield has also been in the room as well. And him and I are, I think we're fighting the same weekend. So it's really been awesome being in camp with Alonzo, and he's a really awesome guy, and we push each other, and some of the aspects he has as far as his knockout power and striking has been really beneficial to me, and then my wrestling's been really beneficial to him. And so we're just vibing. It's been really awesome camp so far.
Man, you got, I mean, talk about some killers around you day to day. That is quite the list of training partners to have to get ready for this fight. You mentioned Muhammad Usman. I watched every episode of The Ultimate Fighter. I always do it every season. How big and strong is he? He looked like an absolute monster on the show. What is it like to grapple with him?
Oh, it's terrible. Like it's what you'd probably imagine. Like I've never had anybody just throw me off of them. Like I'm a really technical, solid grappler. I'm stronger than everybody I go against. I've got a bigger gas tank than everybody I go against, and I'll take Muhammad down, and he'll just Hulk out. And I'm like, Mo, like, there's not many people I'd say this to, but there's no way anybody should ever hold you down. It's not going to happen. Like the dude is ungodly strong. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, with him being around, I would imagine that maybe Kamaru would come around every once in a while. Has he ever been in the gym?
Yeah, so he actually works a lot with Archie. So Mo and I are a lot closer in weight, and then so him and I work a ton. So like for the Ultimate Fighter finale and everything, him and I worked a lot, and Kamaru and Archie work like just relentlessly together. So Kamaru, he's not necessarily the heavyweight 205 class, but he's strong enough to he can work with us. But him, Gaethje, and Archie usually work together, so that's kind of like their group. But it's really awesome to have those guys around, just the knowledge. Like those guys have been there, done that. They've been in the biggest fights in the world, and it's awesome to have their um, knowledge in the gym and just talking me through things, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, 100%. I got to ask you about my guy Brandon Gertz, man. How's he doing? When are we going to see him back in action?
So yeah, Brandon's doing awesome. Like he's been at every single sparring session for me. He's my like he lights the fire. That's my brother, and he's always in my corner. And so you'll see him in my corner and at the forum. But he just had a fight in bare knuckle, um, absolutely demolishing the guy, and then they stopped it for a cut that was a questionable stoppage. But he will be right. He'll be back at it here soon.
Do you expect him to be back in Bellator?
Um, we'll see what he wants to do. Honestly, I think at this point it's up to him. Um, if he likes to bare knuckle a lot, or if he wants to go back and show these lightweights what's up, like Gertz is always down to throw down, so it's always a good time for him to watch him fight. So I honestly think the ball's in his court, whatever he wants to do.
Can't wait to see him back, regardless of what promotion it is. Now, Grant, I do know you got engaged fairly recently. You're getting married next year. How has that been? I mean, congratulations, first of all, but how has that been to kind of juggle everything while you're in camp, doing your thing, getting ready for a fight?
It's been awesome. My fiance is extremely supportive. Um, this is a team thing. I get in the cage by myself, but getting to the cage is a team thing, and she really has bought into that. And I think I am a better fighter, a better person, uh, just in every aspect of my game and life when she's around and when she's a part of it. So it's not like difficult at all. So it's really awesome motivation. Man, I've been wanting to get in the cage for since my last fight in April. Weddings are expensive, so I love what I do. I do this job for a reason. So I'm like, let the dog out. I'm ready to fight. So I'm excited that I finally get to fight. So
Well, let's
I'm
talk about it. February 4th, Bellator 290, the Forum, Inglewood, California. Got a tough opponent. We've already talked about him a little bit. He just had a loss to Carl Moore. It was an RNC at Bellator 285. That was his last fight inside of the cage. What did you take away from that fight? Have you been watching tape? And what kind of fight do you anticipate here on the 4th?
Yeah, so I did watch that fight. I honestly think it was he made a mental mistake that I don't really expect him to make ever again. He had knocked Carl Moore out, and he thought the fight was over, but the round just ended. And so I think he had like a mental like lapse, and he going into the second round, it looked like he was not really there, not really into it. Um, Maybe he thought he had already won the fight and didn't have that short memory, and ended up uh, on the bottom and in a rear naked choke and didn't have a sense of urgency. Um, I love the fact that that's going to be on his mind, and he's going to want to get that taste out of his mouth. So it's going to be really really cool fighting someone of his caliber with his back against the wall, because it's going to allow me to be my full self and explode. So I'm actually really been working on my game, not so much his game. We just kind of know what happened, and so he might come out there hot, he might not, but we're ready. We're ready for whatever he brings.
I was talking to a couple of media acquaintances of mine, and a lot of people feel like your wrestling is just going to be the difference here. Like that's going to be the telltale here of this fight. Do you feel like you're going to be able to dominate this fight with your wrestling, or do you feel like this could be a back and forth matchup?
So I really feel like the key to victory is just being a hammer. I will push the pace. I will do everything it takes to win without giving so much of my game plan. It's gonna be a really really um, smart fight. I'm gonna win in every aspect of the fight, and so like not just the strike count, punch count, anything like that, but it's really important to be in position in any fight. So that's really what we're going to be doing, and I really believe in what we've put in this camp and the things that we've added and elements that we've added. It's been a long time off, so it's going to be really awesome to show the development in my game.
Does this fight go the distance, or are you getting him out of there?
No, this is I will go for the finish here, and it'll be finished within the time limit. So I yeah,
Okay.
it's gonna be a big one.
Very good. Give me a couple of title fight predictions on that same card. You got Ryan Bader, Fedor Emelianenko, and then Johnny Eblen and Anatoly Tokov. Who do you see winning those two title fights?
I see Johnny Eblin. Uh, I feel like every aspect of the game, that guy, he's a gamer. He always comes and he always brings the hammer. So I got Johnny on that one. He's a tough out for anybody. Um, as far as Fedor and Ryan Bader, I mean, the presence of just being in the room of Fedor, I had the honor of getting a coffee next to him when I was in Chicago for Archie's fight. And just the pure presence of being next to Fedor, I was just like, ooh, that's like, you feel it. So you really feel that. And, that's something that Fedor is going to have to deal with. And so, um, to me, it's just toss up. I'm excited to see that fight. Um, Depends on what Fedor we get, and it also depends on what Ryan we get. And so, if we both get them on their best night, it's going to be a great one for anybody who's a fan of MMA.
Is this the best card that you fought on before, or has there been a better one?
I think every card that I fight on is the best card.
Okay, well, fair enough. This one in particular, too, man. I can't wait for this one. I mean, top to bottom, this is an event that you just can't miss. Again, February 4th, Bellator 290. Grant, it's always a pleasure talking to you, my man. Can't wait to see you back in the cage, and we'll definitely do this again before your next one, whenever that may be. Before we do sign off, though, as always, I want to give you the floor. Please tell people where they can follow you on social media. If you have anyone to thank or anything to plug, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I definitely would love everybody to go and follow me on my Instagram, Grant Neal 34. That's probably my most active social media. If you're looking to reach out, if you want to follow the rise, if you want to jump on the train, it is on the tracks, and we are getting ready to steamroll somebody. So come on over. We also I have a website. It's grantneal.com. That's where you can find all the links to all of my sponsorships and all the people who make it possible for me to get to my fight. That would be really awesome for you guys to go check that out. Everything that I use and everything that I am sponsored by, every company I have like a personal relationship with. So I don't align myself with anybody with um, not so good values or anything like that. It's not a paycheck for me. When you're part of Team Neal, you get the quality of Team Neal, and so that's really what it's about. And if you guys want some really high quality products, high quality things that will improve your life, you can head to grandneal.com and see what I'm aligned with and what I associate with. And then I also have some merchandise coming out before the fight. It's going to be a limited time drop, and it'll be on millions.co. And if you go to millions.co, it's going to be Grant the Truth Neal shirts, but there is a catch with them, and you guys will see. But there's only a limited amount, so look on my Instagram for the drop date.